All right. Perfect example. So yesterday I was taking the Honda Fit to the gym. 2010 Honda Fit. Thing
Beauty.
drives like a dream. It's got a, not trying to brag or anything. It's like a 1.6 liter engine, 4 cylinders,
All you need. Yeah.
about
5 disc
100.
CD changer in a trunk. Yeah.
No. It doesn't have a CD player.
Oh,
It's got about 115 horsepower, I'd say. I mean, this thing is an absolute tank. Anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to make you guys jealous. So I was pulling out of the driveway, and I hear this noise that I'd never heard before. It sounded like somebody playing like a drum, or like a really thick rubber band going like boom. I'm like, well, that's not good.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm driving a little bit. It seems fine. Like I'm like, all right, test my steering, test my brakes. Like it's not like my alignment's messed up or anything, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, we're good. I'm just not going to go on the highway. I'm just going to take the side streets to the gym. And it would like, when I would turn, but it wasn't consistent. I would hear this like, like this like rubber band noise. I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, well, I could call the shop and try to describe this rubber band Boing noise. And they're going to be like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I was like, you know what? I'm going to type this in to AI. I was like, all right, here's what's going on. Pulled out of the driveway, heard this Boing. It sounds like a large rubber band thing. And I was like, okay, where is it coming from? And I was like, driver's side front of the car. They're like, does it seem like it's coming from underneath you, behind you to the side? I was like, no, definitely in front. They're like, all right, cool. They're like, can you do this? They're like, with the car in park, turn your wheel all the way to the left, turn your wheel all the way to the right. Does it do it? And I was like, yes, it does. And they're like, okay, now try doing this. Does it do it? No, it doesn't. And so like it was taking me through these steps, and it was like, all right, so what I think it is, and I'm not a car person, the strut mount.
Okay.
There's some like rubber component in there that's basically a spring, and as you turn it rotates and also shifts the weight a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so the spring was basically getting like tensioned up, and then once it would kind of like would release, the string would go boing. And I was like, that could be it. And so I was like, all right, well, how much is this going to cost me? And they're like, oh, it'll be between like $800 and $1,500, kind of just depending on what all they have to replace. If they're replacing, both struts or just this component of it. And I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of helpful. And I was like, is it dangerous to drive? They're like, nah, you're fine.
Did you follow it up with a, can I do this on my own?
That's where my mind was going. Like, how hard is this? Can I do this with like limited knowledge and not too many tools?
Oh, I didn't go there. I should though.
Because it could be that all you have to do is, like undo a couple bolts. Right. Although if it's a strut mount, it might be a little complicated, but it's worth asking because I don't know. Honda Fit's pretty simple, so it might not be that hard.
I know. And the thing is, then I was talking to Miranda about it. I was like, well, we're planning on buying a new car when it warms up, because I was like, do you want to go look for a car? She was like, I do, but it's cold outside.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do anything when it's cold out.
Fair. So I'm like, I really don't want to put a bunch of money into this if we're just going to sell it in 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, listen, it's a 2010. Like, what are you going to get? Like 3,000 or 4,000 for it? Like
Honda Fit? I don't know, dude. Let's see.
Ask Google.
I don't know. Like, okay, maybe 5 or 6. I know what I'm saying. It's not like you're getting $20,000 out of car. So if you put in $1,200, it's like, whatever. It's like, I don't want to put in a quarter of what the car is worth and to fix this thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know, but the AI is just, it's helpful. It's a good tool to have, but you also have to know when you don't trust it.
So you're using AI outside your expertise zone, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
There is a chance, and wrong. It'll be very confident. It'll say, yeah, it's definitely the strut mount. Like it's definitely binding up on itself and then springing back. It might just be making something up, and you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I like to do, especially when I'm working outside my knowledge base, is I ask it to give me a test or something that I can do to confirm its diagnosis.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Okay, I've found that it's true. You were saying that, like, you go all the way to the side. I would say something to it like, how can I visually inspect the strut mount to see, like, give me some sort of way that I can actually get in there and verify that that's actually wrong. So the last thing you want to do is show up to mechanic and be like, yeah, I need a new strut mount.
And
then they disassemble the car. Yeah, well, then they like disassemble the whole car and they're like, your strut mount's fine. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or they'd replace it anyways and you drive away and it's still making the noise.
And it's still making the noise. Yeah. So just, again, a little tip for anybody who's working outside their comfort zone. Ask it to falsify itself, or a test that would falsify its theory.
Don't be afraid to interrogate the AI.
Yeah, don't. It does that again. It's like all the niceties and like platitudes and stuff that it gives you. It also will be very confident when it shouldn't be confident. Because I've had it give me a lot of bad diagnoses, especially trying to fix computer stuff. It gives me bad diagnoses all the time. And it's like, this is a smoking gun. Like, this is definitely it. And turned out not to be it at the end of the day. So